Hi everyone, this is Ray Daly for Business 410 Research Methods Spring 2020. My midterm exam research question is, how pervasive is homelessness in America? I chose this topic because it hits home growing up in New York City. Aside from the prevalence of homelessness in the city, virtually anywhere I travel in the US, I encountered homeless individuals. And I always wonder in the back of my mind how they arrived at that juncture in their lives. Whether it be bad luck with career, mental health issues, or a combination of these and other factors that are not readily apparent. Of course, everyone has a different story, but in the context of this class assignment, I figured trying to examine available data might at least help me understand how widespread this issue is on a national scale, which would be extremely useful for anyone or any organization that attempted to address the outstanding societal deficiency, especially within a nation that is fairly well off and technically able to mitigate the problem, assuming sufficient focus was applied. And so here's to hoping. The websites that I found online, it's basically two. One, the main one is from the Housing and Urban Development Exchange, Housing and HUD Department of the government, under the AHAR, which let me see if I can bring that up real quick. Sorry. It is 2019 AHR, an annual homeless assessment report to Congress, conducted in January 2019. I pulled the 07 to 2019 point-in-time estimates by state, which is an XLSX file. And then for my other data source, my secondary source is basically population by state, a table that pulls information from the U.S. Census Bureau as of July 1st, 2019. So a few months after the AHAR report from the HUD website. Obviously, this is an estimate from the Census Bureau because they take their census every 10 years. So they basically had to do a running tally from year to year to give me an estimate of the U.S. population, which was roughly 328 and change, and by state for that time. Now, if we move on to the actual data in Tableau, bringing it up, you'll see I obviously added, let's go to data source real quick, sorry. The PIT counts by state, that's one as the primary, and then the state population as the secondary. And if we move on to the actual data breakouts that I did, I have a geospatial breakout by state, which highlights in a basically color-coded fashion where, well, more of a shading level, which states had the highest amounts of homeless individuals. And you can see from here, Washington has about 21,000, California is at 151,000, which is the highest level. And then you have New York is second at 92, and you have Texas and Florida, 25 and 28 respectively. And that's basically just, this next tab basically just highlights the state population to give you an idea. Okay, by state, there's large disparity in population by state, total population that is. Whereas if you compare the total population of state by the total homeless population in that state, you can see there's also some differences here. So if I ran it in descending order going down by state population, you see California is the largest at 39 million, whereas it has the highest homeless population at 151,000 and change, approximately. Now, you would assume that the state population should corroborate, the homeless population should corroborate somewhat to the state population, which doesn't actually work out because Texas and Florida, with the second and third highest population in the country, do not have corroborating homeless population. They're in the 25 to 30,000 range, whereas the fourth largest population in New York at 19 million and change has the second highest homeless population at 92,000. And if you basically keep going, this is a packed bubble representation, which shows you the same information. Yeah, sorry guys. Overall homeless versus state population, obviously California is the largest in this packed bubble, followed by New York, Texas, Florida, and you'll see obviously a few of them under 20,000. If you keep going, especially homelessness by gender and state. I noticed a few things here. Actually, let me just get rid of this window so it'll make it easier to see. Yeah, get rid of the sidebar. So here you'll notice there's a double male to female ratio of homeless individuals in California, where it's roughly 98,000 males to 50,000 females. And if you keep going, you'll see similar situation in Florida, obviously on a much smaller scale. Roughly equal in Massachusetts, under 10,000 each. And you move forward to, let's say, what's this, New York? It's slightly higher for male versus female. And if you keep moving, you'll see same thing in Texas, just obviously on a smaller scale. So you'll see there's definitely a gender disparity, more males to females in virtually all the states. Moving forward, if you go by homelessness by race and state, you will notice that there's definitely some differences. California has a much higher white homeless population compared to the next two groups in descending order, which would be, well, homeless and Hispanic groups. If you move down the line in Washington, D.C., you'll notice there's a much higher, obviously it's predominantly the black homeless population in DC compared to any of the other groups. The other groups being white, black, Hispanic, Asian, American Indian, Native Hawaiian, or other. And keep moving down the line, you'll see. I just saw a few things that popped out, like Georgia's overall homeless black population is much higher. It's more than almost double the white homeless population. Illinois is roughly the same scenario. And if you go down to New York, you'll notice New York's overall black homeless population is 3 times as large and double the size of the white Hispanic populations respectively. So that's definitely catches my eye. And if you move on to homeless by group, you'll notice that by age group, you'll notice predominantly in California that's anyone aged over 24 years compared to under 18 in the 18 to 24 group. So that's one. If you move down the line, and if you look at the main states that with high population, in New York by itself, you will notice something. You still have the highest population among people over age 24, but you'll notice that the under age 18 is nearly 29,000, which is higher than any other state in any age group other than New York and California. So that's very interesting to notice that there's a very high homeless population in New York under the age of 18. So we keep moving, sheltered versus unsheltered. I want to say this is basically for people that are actually homeless and categorized as living in a shelter versus those that are on the streets. California has a much larger population of unsheltered at 108,000 and change versus its sheltered population. Whereas if you compare New York straight away, that's virtually the complete opposite, where New York has 88,000 sheltered versus a much smaller homeless population. And obviously, I would like to say that the populations change. Obviously, some people be in homes for a while and then decide not to stay in the homes, back and forth, vice versa. And the last piece of information I pulled was just by homeless veteran population. And actually, I forgot to add the numbers here. Let's mark show all. You'll see the homeless veterans by state. California stands out drastically at over 11,000, whereas where's New York? New York has got 1,200. Texas has about 1,800, so on and so forth. So it's definitely something that stands out. And so, I mean, in terms of all this data available, it's very interesting to see. If you look at other states, they have smaller populations. Obviously, it's still in the thousands for most states, but it's very interesting to break out all this on a visual level in Tableau. And aside from that, I hope everybody follow through and gets a chance to look at my data when they have when it's available. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye bye.